Hi, I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats at hotDOCS in downtown Toronto. I'm here with comic Johnny Steele. How does it feel to have the film Three Still Standing here at hotDOCS?
It's great. You know, I was just sitting in one of the little tent booths out there, and people are like, "Oh, you're in that hot dog, in the Three Still Standing. We can't get in. It's already rush tickets." So we're getting very well received here already. So we're excited about it.
Awesome. Well,
'Cause you go to
congratulations.
some film festivals, and they give you it's like in November in like Nebraska, and it's 8 degrees below zero, and they give you a Monday at like midnight, and then nobody comes, and then they're like, "What happened? How come nobody showed up?" Well, it's Nebraska, and it's November, and it's freezing, and it's a crappy time. So this is great. Everyone's very excited, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun.
All right. And I think, Will Durst is hopping into this interview. Hello, Will.
What did you say?
How does it feel to be here at hotDOCS with Three Still Standing?
It's very exciting. It's we don't know what's going to happen. We're here to show the movie and to schmooze. So you look like a perfect person to schmooze with.
Oh, thank you.
I hear that we've already got rush tickets on 2 of the screenings already. People have packed it in already, so we're doing a lot better than we've done. I was saying you do some festivals and you're like in Nebraska at midnight in
Nothing
January.
wrong with Nebraska.
Yeah.
Midnight is a bitch.
Yeah.
But,
It's 8 below. We was going to come, but we spun out on the turnpike and then went in a ditch and we couldn't make it.
And tell me a little bit about the scene, the comedy scene in San Francisco in the late 70s and in the 80s, because this film captures it very well. But for those who weren't there.
yeah, it's mostly about the 80s where comedy started shooting up, and there was this huge snow. It was turbulent, and I don't remember much.
It was kind of high. You know, the thing I remember most about it was, and this doesn't exist anywhere, I don't think, in the world now, you could do 2 or 3 or 4 sets in a night because there were 3 or 4 clubs in town and they were doing comedy, and there was always 2 or 3 bars or cafes or coffee houses doing comedy. And I remember I did 4 sets on more than one night. You would just be running from place to place. And so you could really grow fast. And that was one thing. And the other thing, the audiences were generally pretty good, you know. You'd perform there were places where maybe tourists came from Nebraska, say, I don't know why Nebraska's getting beat tonight, and maybe we don't find this funny, boy. But that's probably a southern accent. So I'll work on my Nebraska accent for the next interview. But generally, the audiences were great, weren't they? I mean, they were great. Didn't you do your political material in San Francisco and get great response and probably go 50 miles out of town and go, uh-oh?
There was actually Jerry Seinfeld had this thing about San Francisco comics. He said we were like the residents of Shangri-La. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Lost Horizon, but Shangri-La, they're fine when they live in Shangri-La and they're young, and then they try to leave and they become old and decrepit. And our material didn't travel. In San Francisco, they weren't smarter than anybody else, but they thought they should be. So you could throw your joke a little ahead of them, and they would run to catch it. You know, it wasn't. There's this thing like wah comedy where the jokes are right there.
Obvious. It's not too complex or layered, you know. And the other thing is this. In San Francisco, I think it was all about the stand-up comedy. And as soon as you went to LA, and I was just telling Will about a time I went to LA, and my manager said, you're doing an audition tonight, a showcase audition, and there's all these big people in the room that could put you in movies or TV. Don't do any of that San Francisco material. San Francisco was about being clever and funny, and inventive, and pushing the barriers in all directions, artistically and politically and everything else. And LA was commerce. It was business. I went down there and I never felt comfortable. I never ever took a stage in Los Angeles and riffed and went crazy and had a great set.
And speaking of LA, and you guys could have left San Francisco and gone to LA or New York and really made it big in the business, but you chose to stay in San Francisco. So just tell me a little bit about making that choice.
Well, it was made for us by the thing that Johnny said, but also I never had a real relationship in LA, and I was never not disappointed or lied to by someone in LA. Never, not once was I told the truth or being represented by something with integrity or authentic or genuine. It was but in San Francisco, you knew where you stood because
there was a book about that, someone's experiences. What was it called? Hello, He Lied. It's just a great Hello, He Lied, a book about someone's experiences in LA. He's totally right. I I had trouble every time I went down. I wanted to do this material that sort of I always envisioned turning over the comedic apple cart, and you'd go down there, and there were, and I don't want to sound like there weren't people who did great things. There was Margaret Cho was able to break through there, and Janine Garofalo and Dave Cross and a bunch of other guys did sort of kick the door in a little bit. That was a little later. That was a little later, and they had to create their own room. They had a room called the Largo on Fairfax and they created their own room because it wasn't happening at the other room. They had to create a room where they can go in and do that.
But also, we were safe in San Francisco. We were so safe because at one time, like in the early 90s, there were 14 full-time comedy clubs within a 90-mile radius. So in September of the previous year, you could book yourself 3 weeks at the Punchline in Sacramento, 3 weeks at the Punchline in Walnut Creek, 3 weeks at the Punchline in San Francisco, and then you could just Cobb's and Foo Bars and Sunnyvale, and so you could be comfortable. And we might have fallen into a velvet trap.
Yeah, it was a trap.
Yeah.
And you guys have this beautiful friendship. It seems with the comics who have been friends for decades, including Bubbles in the film. So can you just tell me a little bit about supporting each other along the way and helping each other with jokes and the camaraderie of it all?
Well, there was a community because we were, fighting against the monolith that was LA, and we had this huge feud, and it's really unfair because LA doesn't participate in the feud.
They're down there getting rich and famous, and we're up here going, "You guys suck." So it's kind of an odd battle.
We love San Francisco. We go there for weekends. It's lovely. No, we hate LA.
But to tell you how great it was, two of America's best-known comics, Dana Carvey and Robin Williams, could have lived anywhere and would have probably been better for both of them to live in LA or New York. They both lived in San Francisco.
After they made it.
Yeah, but they came back. But they came back as soon as they could, and both lived just north of San Francisco and Marin.
And you talk about a community, and there was a community because we were an army of buddies, and we would say bad stuff about the other comic, but we wouldn't let anybody else say it because they were family. No, you don't understand, man. You don't know what he's going through. Our father was an asshole. But we would also tell each other of other gigs. We supported one another.
Will's wife produces a thing called Comedy Celebration Day, which I think is the biggest one-day comedy show anywhere in America for sure.
35 years this year.
35 years has been going on, and at its peak, am I wrong? There were like 25,000 people at the Polo Field.
60,000 people.
60,000 fans,
Wow.
40 comics. Robin Williams has closed it. George Lopez has closed it. Dave Chappelle has closed it at the end of the show because it's such a great event. They'd fly in, or they would book themselves in town that week to be in San Francisco to do it. It runs 4 or 5 hours.
It's free.
It's free, and it's in the park. And there's two favorite stories I have about it. One was, for years, these guys would arrive early in the morning, and they would bring a sofa. It's in the park outside. They'd bring a sofa. Remember these guys with 2 end tables and lamps and a coffee table, and they just sit there all day long like they were sitting in their living room. And then the other one I remember, your wife put me up last one year, and I say, I'm not going last because people are always expecting Robin Williams or Dana Carvey or George Lopez or whoever might pop into town. So she put me last, and all day long, because you don't want to go last because the audience is expecting Robin.
40 comics.
Oh, I would follow.
And every piece of material you could possibly think of.
And I think Robin had gone on early in the show that year with guys from Kids in the Hall had gone on earlier in the show. I'm like, I'm not following Robin Williams and Kids in the Hall and Rick Overton.
And it got to be 5 o'clock, which is when they tear us down.
Yeah, it's run by the park is run by the park rangers, their police. And when you're done, you're done. You get a permit, and it's from noon to 5, and you don't go on, or you get like $1,000 fine.
Wow.
So all week long, I'm telling Debbie, don't make me go last. And she's like, you're going last, you're going last. So I'm going last, and she's mocking me the whole day. You're going last. And as they introduce me, as I'm walking toward the stage, Debbie grabs my leg and says, you're going up to the stage, it's 8 feet high, right? You can't go on. I'm like, they've introduced me, and the band is playing, and people are applauding. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm going. I said, no, you can't. Really, you can't. I'm like, what? Because all week we've been playing. And she said, 5 o'clock, they're shutting off the mics in 30 seconds. I said, no, they're not. She said, yes, they are. So she ran up to make the announcement. I'm so sorry, we can't have Johnny Steele. And the mic got cut off. And that was the end of the show. I just remember all day long being taunted and mocked and just going, I don't want to follow Robin Williams. Oh, my God. And then didn't have to because the mic got shut off.
I had a headline one year.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough. They always expect somebody very famous.
Yeah.
And Robin showed up. He was a very big supporter of Comedy Day. He actually supported it financially for a couple of years, which we weren't allowed to say
Yeah.
for those years. But he would show up every other year. If he was in town, if he wasn't making a movie, if he wasn't on location, he would show up, and they bring him through the back. They put him in
'Cause he'd
the
get mobbed. He'd
backstage.
get mobbed by
It was tough, because
Yeah.
everybody wants a piece of him. Everybody's trying to touch him. Everybody wants a
and to tell you what
picture.
Wants a hug.
And to tell you what a great guy he was, it was after that Kanye West Taylor Swift thing at the MTV Awards. Remember that? And Kanye West came up and said, "Hey, Beyonce's video was better." So Robin was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award that your wife was giving him. Debbie Durst was giving it to him. And I said, "Hey, Robin, how about right in the middle of your acceptance, I march up there, shove you out of the way, and say Beyonce's comedy is funnier, and then I'll have some security guards drag me off." Now here's this guy, he's an Academy Award-winning actor. He's winning the sororities in front of about 15,000 people that day. And he just said, "Yeah, let's do it. It's great." So I went and did it, and it's kind of a risk. And people go, "Get out of the way! Who are you interrupting, Robin?" But I did it. Robin played along. It was hilarious. 2 security guards drugged me off while I was kicking and screaming. And I remember as he started to leave, I saw him across the way, and he talked to my wife. And then all of a sudden, he ran over to me, and he came up to me and said, "I want to thank you so much for doing that. That was so funny." And that was Robin in a nutshell. He's thanking me. I'm interrupting his speech with a cockamamie gag that could have gone in the toilet in front of 20,000 people. And he comes across the field. And it's got nothing to do with me. It's about his selflessness and how great he was. And I'll never forget him just going, thank me. Thank me. Well, thank you. What?
Well,
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so
No,
much for
thank
the
you.
interview.
No, thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations on the film, and have an amazing time here in Toronto.
Thank you very much.
We love the Toronto.
Great.
here.
I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats at hotDOCS in Toronto.